The alarm woke Taeyang from his sleep. He rolled out of his small bunk and ran to the control room of his ship, the Morning Star. The screens showed a flashing red signal. Someone was calling for help. Taeyang rubbed his eyes and checked the location. The distress signal came from a small shuttle about 2 hours away. He looked at the type of ship sending the signal. His eyes went wide. It was a Velen diplomatic vessel. The Velens were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They were advanced, smart, and very strict about their rules. They almost never asked for help from anyone, especially not from humans. Something was very wrong. Taeyang knew the rules. When you found a distress signal from a diplomatic ship, you were supposed to report it and wait for official rescue teams. You were not supposed to investigate yourself, but the signal was getting weaker. If he waited, whoever was on that ship might die. He made his choice. Taeyang turned his ship toward the signal and pushed the engines to full speed. 2 hours later, he arrived at the location. What he saw made his stomach turn. The Velen shuttle was torn apart. Pieces of metal floated in space like broken toys. The main body of the ship was drifting toward a field of asteroids. Weapon burns covered the hull. Someone had attacked this ship. Taeyang scanned for life signs. The computer showed most of the crew was dead, but there was one small signal, very faint, coming from inside the wreckage. Someone was still alive. He looked at his sensors again. An unknown ship was moving toward his location. They were still far away, but they would arrive in about 30 minutes. Taeyang guessed they were the attackers coming back to make sure everyone was dead. He had to move fast. Taeyang put on his spacesuit and grabbed his emergency kit. He flew his ship close to the broken shuttle and used the airlock to connect. The door was damaged, so he had to force it open with a cutting tool. It took precious minutes. Inside the shuttle, the lights were off. Bodies floated in the zero gravity. Taeyang tried not to look at them as he followed his scanner toward the life sign. He moved through the narrow corridors, pushing past broken equipment and scattered supplies. He found a hidden compartment near the back of the ship. The door was sealed shut. Taeyang used his tools to open it. Inside, he found a small figure curled in the corner. It was a child. A Velen child. She looked about 6 years old by human standards, though Taeyang knew Velens aged differently. Her skin had a soft purple glow, and her large eyes were filled with tears. She was hurt. Blood came from a cut on her arm, and she was shaking. In her hands, she held a small crystal device that pulsed with blue light. Taeyang knelt down slowly. He did not want to scare her. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm here to help. Can you understand me?" The child looked at him with fear. She did not speak, but she did not run away either. Taeyang checked his scanner. The unknown ship was getting closer. He had maybe 15 minutes now. He looked at the child again and held out his hand. "We need to go. It's not safe here." The child stared at his hand for a long moment. Then she reached out and took it. Taeyang picked her up carefully and ran back through the broken shuttle. His ship's computer was already warning him. The asteroids were moving closer to the wreckage. The whole area was becoming more dangerous every second. When he got back to the Morning Star, Taeyang faced a big problem. His ship was built for humans. The air, the temperature, the pressure, everything was designed for human life. Velens needed different conditions to survive. The child was already having trouble breathing. He had maybe an hour before she would die. Taeyang put the child in the medical room and ran to his storage area. He grabbed every piece of equipment he could find. He looked at the broken Velen shuttle through his window and made another dangerous choice. He flew back to the wreckage and pulled out pieces of their life support system. The unknown ship was now only 5 minutes away. Taeyang worked faster than he ever had in his life. He used to be an engineer in the Korean Republic Navy before he became a cargo hauler. Those skills saved them now. He connected the Velen equipment to his own systems, mixing and matching parts that were never meant to work together. The child was turning a darker purple. She was running out of time. Taeyang finished the last connection and activated the new system. The medical room filled with a different kind of air. The temperature dropped. The child took a deep breath, and her color started to return to normal. "Come on," Taeyang whispered. "Stay with me." His ship's alarm screamed. The unknown vessel had arrived and was scanning the area. Taeyang jumped into the pilot seat and grabbed the controls. He turned off all his ship's lights and powered down everything except the engines and life support. The unknown ship moved closer to the wreckage. Taeyang held his breath. If they scanned carefully, they would find him. Then the asteroid started to move faster. The whole field was becoming unstable. The Velen shuttle exploded as a large rock hit it. The unknown ship backed away from the danger. Taeyang saw his chance. He fired up his engines and flew straight into the asteroid field. The unknown ship followed him immediately. They knew someone was there now. What happened next was the most dangerous flying of Taeyang's life. He steered the Morning Star between spinning rocks, through narrow gaps, and around sudden obstacles. Most pilots used computers to navigate asteroid fields, but Taeyang flew manually, using his instincts and his hands on the controls. The unknown ship was faster and had better weapons, but it could not match his piloting. Taeyang led them deeper into the field, then made a sharp turn that only a small ship could make. The bigger ship could not follow. It had to go around. Taeyang used those extra seconds to escape. He pushed his engines beyond their safety limits and flew out of the asteroid field. As soon as he reached clear space, he jumped to faster than light speed. They were safe. For now. Taeyang slumped in his chair, his hands shaking. He had just stolen a Velen child from a massacre site and was being chased by unknown attackers. His ship was damaged. His fuel was low, and he had no idea what to do next. He walked back to the medical room. The child was sleeping, her small chest rising and falling with each breath. The crystal device she carried was still in her hands, pulsing with that strange blue light. Taeyang sat down and put his head in his hands. He had just changed his life forever. He knew that. But when he looked at the sleeping child, he knew he had made the right choice. Whatever came next, he would face it. He had saved her life. Now he just had to keep her alive. 3. Taeyang flew his damaged ship to Hangar Station, a small repair outpost that floated in neutral space. It was the kind of place where people did not ask too many questions. That was exactly what he needed right now. His old friend Hyun owned the station. They had served together in the Navy years ago, before Taeyang left to become an independent trader. Hyun was one of the few people Taeyang trusted completely. When the Morning Star docked, Hyun was waiting at the airlock. He was a short man with oil-stained hands and a friendly smile. But his smile disappeared when he saw the damage to the ship. "What happened to you?" Hyun asked, walking around the ship and touching the burn marks on the hull. "Long story," Taeyang said. "Can you fix it?" "I can fix anything," Hyun said. "But it will take time and money." "What did you hit?" "A missile?" "Something like that," Taeyang replied. He did not mention the child yet. While Hyun started working on the ship, Taeyang went to check on the Velen child. She was awake now, sitting up in the medical room and looking around with wide, scared eyes. When she saw Taeyang, she pressed herself against the wall. Taeyang moved slowly. He grabbed a ration bar from his supplies and held it out to her. "Are you hungry? Are you hungry?" The child looked at the food but did not take it. Taeyang set it down on the bed and stepped back. After a moment, she grabbed it and ate quickly. Taeyang smiled. "Good, that's good." He tried to talk to her, but she did not understand his language. He did not understand hers either. She made sounds that were musical and flowing, nothing like any human language, but he could see the fear in her eyes. She was lost and alone. Taeyang pointed to himself. "Taeyang," he said clearly. The child watched him. Then she pointed to herself and made a sound. It sounded like Lee. "Ah, Leah?" Taeyang repeated. The child nodded. It was a start. Over the next day, while Hyun fixed the ship, Taeyang tried to take care of Leah. It was not easy. He had to figure out what she could eat, how warm she needed to be, and how to keep the improvised life support working. He learned through trial and error, watching her reactions to everything. Slowly, Leah started to trust him. She followed him around the ship. She watched everything he did with curious eyes. When he worked on the ship's systems, she sat nearby and studied his tools. Then Taeyang noticed the crystal device she always carried. He had been too busy to look at it carefully before. Now he took a closer look, and his blood went cold. The crystal was a Velen royal seal. He knew this because he had seen pictures of them in his Navy training. They were given only to members of the royal family. Leah was not just any child. She was a princess. Taeyang went to find Hyun immediately. He pulled his friend into a private room and told him everything. The distress signal, the destroyed shuttle, the child, all of it. Hyun's face went pale. Do you know what you've done? That child is Velen royalty. If something happens to her while she's with you, they could blame all of humanity. I couldn't leave her to die, Taeyang said. I know, Hyun said, running his hands through his hair. But this is bigger than us. We need to contact the authorities. Let them handle it. Taeyang shook his head. Someone attacked that shuttle on purpose. Someone wanted everyone on board dead. If we hand her over to the wrong people, they'll finish the job. Then what do we do? Hyun asked. Before Taeyang could answer, his communicator beeped. Someone was sending him an encrypted message. He opened it carefully. The message was short. I know you have the princess. I can help. Meet me at coordinates 447 to 889 inches 6 hours. Come alone, Nira. Taeyang showed the message to Hyun. It's a trap, Hyun said immediately. It has to be. Maybe, Taeyang agreed. But Leah's getting worse. The life support I built is failing. She needs proper Velen medical care. I have to take the chance. Hyun grabbed his arm. Let me come with you. You'll need backup. No, Taeyang said. If this goes wrong, someone needs to take care of Leah. That's you. 6 hours later, Taeyang flew a small shuttle to the meeting coordinates. It was an abandoned mining station. Dark and quiet. He brought a weapon. Just in case. A figure waited for him inside the station. She was Velen. Tall and elegant. With the same purple-tinted skin as Leah. But her eyes were hard and dangerous. My name is Nira, she said in perfect human language. I serve Matriarch Vera, Princess Leah's mother. I've been searching for survivors of the attack. How do I know you're telling the truth? Taeyang asked, his hand near his weapon. You don't, Nira said simply. But if I wanted to take the princess by force, I would have done it already. I've been watching you since you arrived at Hangar Station. That made Taeyang nervous. What do you want? I want to save Leah's life, Nira said. Just like you do. She pulled out a small medical device. This is Velen medicine. It will stabilize her condition. Take it as a sign of good faith. Taeyang took the device but did not lower his weapon. Why can't you just take her yourself? Because there are traitors in the Velen government, Nira explained. Someone high-ranking ordered that attack. They wanted Leah dead. If I simply take her to Velen space, they'll try again. And next time, they might succeed. So what's the plan? Taeyang asked. Nira pulled up a holographic map. In 5 days, there will be a frontier summit at Kepler Station. Matriarch Vera will be there, surrounded by loyal guards and witnesses from many different species. It's the only place where a reunion can happen safely. She pointed to the route on the map. But the journey is dangerous. We have to cross through 3 different territories. The traitors are looking for you. They've put out a quiet bounty on a human matching your description. Taeyang looked at the map. It was a long journey through some of the most dangerous parts of space. Why me? Why do I have to take her? You're Velen. You'd be safer. No, Nira said. The traitors know all the Velen agents. They'd catch me in a day. But you? You're nobody. Just a cargo hauler. That's your advantage. You can move through spaces we can't. I'm nobody who now has a bounty on his head, Taeyang pointed out. A quiet bounty, Nira corrected. They can't make it public without revealing what they did. They're trying to find you through back channels. We can use that. Taeyang thought about it. He thought about Leah waiting back at hangar station. He thought about her mother. Somewhere out there. Desperate to know if her daughter was alive. If I do this, he said slowly, I need guarantees. I need to know Leah will be safe. Matriarch Vera is tearing the galaxy apart, looking for her daughter, Nira said quietly. She's mobilizing fleets. She's calling in every favor. If we can get Leah to that summit, she'll be safe. I promise you that. Taeyang made his decision. All right. I'll do it. But we do this my way. I'm the pilot. I make the calls. Nira nodded. Agreed. I'll provide intelligence and protection. You provide the ship and the route. They shook hands, Human and Velen working together. When Taeyang returned to hangar station, he gave the medicine to Leah. Her condition improved almost immediately. She smiled at him for the first time, and he felt like he had made the right choice. Hyun pulled him aside. Are you sure about this? You're risking everything. I know, Taeyang said. But what else can I do? Leave a child to die? Let the people who killed her guards win? Hyun sighed. You always were too brave for your own good. He paused. I've upgraded your weapons and fixed your shields. You'll need them. Thank you, my friend, Taeyang said. That night, Taeyang, Leah, and Nira left hangar station. They were heading toward Kepler Station, 5 days away. Behind them, enemies were gathering. Ahead of them, danger waited, but Taeyang had made a promise. He would keep Leah safe, no matter what it cost him. The first day of the journey was quiet. Too quiet. Taeyang kept checking his sensors, expecting trouble at any moment. But the space around them stayed empty. Nira sat in the co-pilot seat, monitoring communication channels. They're looking for us, she said. I'm picking up encrypted messages. They know we're moving, but they don't know where. How long until they figure it out? Taeyang asked. A day. Maybe 2, Nira replied. We need to move fast. In the back of the ship, Leah explored her new surroundings. She touched everything with curious fingers. She watched Taeyang work with big, interested eyes. Even though they could not speak the same language, they were learning to communicate. Taeyang would point to things and say their names. Ship, chair, food. Leah would repeat the words in her musical voice, getting them almost right. She showed him the crystal device she carried everywhere. Through gestures and simple words, Nira helped translate. The crystal was a direct link to her mother. When her mother was close, it would glow brighter. Right now, it pulsed softly, meaning her mother was far away but alive. Leah drew pictures to communicate. She drew a tall, elegant Velen woman with kind eyes. Mother, she said in her language. Then she drew Taeyang next to her mother and made a gesture that Nira translated as, bring me home. I will, Taeyang promised. Even though Leah could not understand all his words. I promise. On the second day, they reached their first obstacle. A corporate security checkpoint controlled by Omicron Industries blocked the main route. Large ships surrounded the checkpoint, scanning everything that passed through. We can't go around, Nira said, studying the map. It would add 3 days to our journey. We don't have that time. Then we go through, Taeyang said. He pulled out his old Navy identification and some credits he had saved. Let me do the talking. They approached the checkpoint slowly. A security officer's face appeared on their screen. He was a stern-looking man with sharp eyes. His name tag read, Captain Day. State your business, Captain Day said. Cargo hauler Taeyang. Carrying medical supplies to Kepler Station. Taeyang replied smoothly. He transmitted his identification and a fake cargo manifest that Nira had prepared. Captain Day studied the information. His eyes narrowed. Your ship has recent damage. Combat damage. How did that happen? Asteroid field accident, Taeyang lied. You know how it is. I took a shortcut, and it didn't work out. I need to scan your cargo, Captain Day said. Tae-young felt sweat on his back. If they scanned the ship, they would detect Leah's Velen life signs. That would damage the medical supplies. They're very sensitive. But if you insist, I can wait here while you get authorization from your supervisors. That usually takes, 6 or 7 hours? He slid a credit chip toward the scanner. Or we can save everyone some time. Captain Day looked at the credit chip. He looked at Tae-young. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Captain Day took the credit chip. Safe travels, cargo hauler. Don't take any more shortcuts. No, sir, Tae-young said. Lesson learned. They passed through the checkpoint. Tae-young let out a breath he had been holding. That was close, Nira said. Too close, Tae-young agreed. He noticed that Captain Day's ship was following them on the sensors, staying just at the edge of scanning range. I think he suspects something. Can we lose him? Nira asked. Maybe, Tae-young said. Our next route goes through the Ashfall Nebula. No one can track us in there. The Ashfall Nebula was a dangerous region of space filled with cosmic storms and radiation. It scrambled sensors and communications. It was also home to pirates and criminals who hid from the law. Most pilots avoided it. But Tae-young had flown through it before. Back in his Navy days. He knew the safe routes. They entered the nebula on the 3rd day. The view screen filled with swirling clouds of purple and orange gas. Lightning flashed between the clouds. The ship shook as they hit pockets of turbulence. I don't like this, Nira said, gripping her seat. Neither do I, Tae-young admitted, but it's the safest path. Behind them, Captain Day's ship stopped at the edge of the nebula. He did not follow them in, but Tae-young knew the captain would be waiting when they came out the other side. Inside the nebula, visibility was almost zero. Tae-young flew carefully, using old Navy techniques to navigate. He followed patterns in the gas clouds, watched for certain types of lightning, and listened to the way the ship's engines sounded in different areas. Leah came to sit near him, watching him work. She seemed fascinated by how he flew the ship without using the computer. Tae-young smiled at her. Your mother must be very worried about you. Leah tilted her head, not understanding his words, but she seemed to understand his tone. She held up her crystal, which pulsed softly. Soon, Tae-young said. 2 more days, and you'll see her again. The attack came without warning. 3 ships appeared out of the gas clouds, their weapons already firing. They were pirate vessels, small and fast, designed for hit-and-run attacks. Hold on, Tae-young shouted. He threw the ship into a hard turn, avoiding the first volley of weapons fire. Nira jumped to the weapons controls. I've got the guns. She fired back at the pirates, her shots precise and deadly. She hit one of the pirate ships, and it spun away, trailing smoke. But the other 2 kept coming. They were experienced fighters, working together to pin down the Morning Star. Tae-young flew like he had never flown before. He dove into the thickest parts of the gas clouds, where the lightning was most dangerous. The pirates followed. He flew between arcs of electricity, timing his movements perfectly. One of the pirate ships was hit by lightning and exploded. The last pirate tried to run, but Nira's weapons found it. The ship broke apart and drifted into the nebula. For a moment, there was silence except for the sound of the engines and everyone breathing hard. Then, alarms started blaring. The ship was damaged. The fight had cost them. The shields were down to 30%. The main engine was overheating, and worst of all, the life support system for Leah was failing again. We need to land and make repairs, Nira said, reading the damage reports. There's nowhere to land in the nebula, Tae-young said. We have to reach the other side. The ship won't make it, Nira argued. It has to, Tae-young said. He pushed the damaged ship forward, babying the engines and rerouting power from every system he could spare. Leah sat in the medical room, her breathing becoming labored as the air grew thin. Tae-young worked frantically, trying to fix the life support while also flying the ship. His hands moved fast, connecting wires and replacing burnt components. He had learned a lot about Velen technology over the past few days. He prayed it was enough. An hour later, They broke through the far side of the nebula. Open space stretched ahead of them. Tae-young immediately diverted all power to the life support system. It flickered and then stabilized. Leah took a deep breath, and her color returned to normal. Tae-young slumped in his chair, exhausted. They had made it through. But the ship was in bad shape. They needed real repairs. "There's a small station ahead," Nira said, pointing to the map. "It's neutral territory. We can stop there." While they limped toward the station, Tae-young spent time with Leah. He showed her pictures of Earth, his home world. She seemed amazed by the blue oceans and green forests. She showed him drawings of her own world, with its purple skies and crystal cities. Despite everything, they had become friends. Tae-young taught her simple human words. She taught him simple Velen phrases. They ate meals together. They played simple games. One evening, as they approached the repair station, Leah did something that surprised him. She drew a picture of Tae-young and wrote Velen symbols next to it. When Nira saw it, she smiled. "What does it say?" Tae-young asked. "Brave," Nira translated, "and kind." Tae-young felt his throat tighten. This small alien child, who had lost everything, still had the strength to see good in others. "We're going to get you home," he told her. "I promise." But as they docked at the repair station, Tae-young received a message that made his blood run cold. Captain Day had tracked them. He was requesting backup from Omicron Industries. He had reported a suspected kidnapping of a Velen child. The corporate security forces were coming, and they would arrive at the station in less than 12 hours. Nira looked at Tae-young. "What do we do?" Tae-young thought for a moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. "We go public," he said. "We send a message directly to Matriarch Vera through official channels. We tell everyone where we are and what we're doing. We force everyone's hand." "That's insane," Nira said. "The traitors will know exactly where to find us." "They already know," Tae-young pointed out. "But, if we go public, the whole galaxy will be watching. It's harder to assassinate a child when everyone knows she's alive. It's a huge risk," Nira warned. "Everything about this has been a huge risk," Tae-young said. "But it's the only way." He prepared the message, his hands steady despite his fear. He was about to put himself in the spotlight of the entire galaxy. He was about to start something that he could not stop. But when he looked at Leah, sleeping peacefully in her medical bed, he knew it was worth it. Tae-young sent the message to every major communication network in the galaxy. It was simple and direct. "My name is Tae-young. I am a human cargo hauler. 5 days ago, I found a Velen diplomatic shuttle that had been attacked. Everyone was dead except for one child. I rescued her. I have been protecting her and trying to bring her home safely. To Matriarch Vera, your daughter is alive. She is safe. She is with me. We are coming to Kepler Station. To everyone else, I am not a kidnapper. I am not a criminal. I am just someone who found a child who needed help." He attached a video of Leah, showing that she was healthy and unharmed. Then he pressed send. The message spread across the galaxy like fire. Within an hour, every news network was talking about it. The human who saved the Velen princess. The cargo hauler who risked everything. Nira watched the news feeds with wide eyes. "You did it. The whole galaxy knows now." "Good," Tae-young said. "Now let's see what happens." What happened was chaos. Matriarch Vera received the message within minutes. Across the galaxy, on her flagship, she watched the video of her daughter over and over. Tears streamed down her face. Her daughter was alive. After days of not knowing, of fearing the worst, she had proof. She immediately ordered her fleet to move toward Kepler Station at maximum speed. Nothing would stop her from reaching her child. But she was not the only one who reacted to the message. Admiral Kova, the Velen military commander who had ordered the original attack, watched the message with cold fury. His plan was falling apart. He had tried to kill the princess quietly and blame it on pirates. Now the whole galaxy knew she was alive. He could not let her reach Kepler Station. He could not let her reunite with her mother. If that happened, His role in the attack would be discovered. He would lose everything. Kova sent orders to his loyal ships. 3 warships, all bearing Velen military markings, changed course and headed to intercept the Morning Star before it could reach Kepler Station. Back at the repair station, Taeyang was working frantically to fix his damaged ship. The mechanics at the station were helping, but the repairs would take time. Time they did not have. Captain Day arrived at the station 6 hours after Taeyang's message went public. But instead of arresting Taeyang, he did something unexpected. He requested a meeting. Taeyang agreed to meet him, but he brought Nira and kept his weapon close. Captain Day looked different than before. The stern security officer seemed uncertain, almost embarrassed. "I saw your message," he said. "I saw the video of the child. She seems healthy and happy." "She is," Taeyang said carefully. "I reported you as a kidnapper," Captain Day admitted. "I was wrong. I wanted to tell you that in person." He paused. "I also wanted to offer my help. If you need an escort to Kepler Station, my ship can provide it." Taeyang was surprised. "Why would you do that?" "Because I have a daughter too," Captain Day said simply. "If she was lost and scared, I would want someone like you to help her." He held out his hand. "Let me make this right." Taeyang shook his hand. "Thank you." But before they could celebrate this small victory, the alarms sounded. 3 Velen warships had just entered the system. They were heading straight for the repair station. Nira checked her sensors and her face went pale. "Those ships are transmitting military codes. But I recognize them. They belong to Admiral Kova's fleet. He's the traitor." "How long until they get here?" Taeyang asked. 20 minutes, Nira said. The repairs on the Morning Star were not finished. The shields were still weak. The weapon systems were not fully operational. They were not ready for a fight. Captain Day looked at the approaching warships. "My ship is not a match for 3 Velen military vessels. But I can buy you time. Get your ship ready to run." "You'll be killed," Taeyang said. "Maybe," Captain Day said. "But this is the right thing to do. I can see that now." He ran to his ship and launched immediately. His small security vessel flew toward the 3 warships, broadcasting challenge codes and demanding they identify themselves. It bought Taeyang and Nira precious minutes. They worked faster than ever, finishing the critical repairs. Taeyang strapped Leah into a special emergency pod, one he had built specifically for her. If the worst happened, the pod would automatically launch toward Kepler Station. "I don't want to leave you," Leah said in her broken human words. She had learned enough over the past days to express this simple thought. "You won't have to," Taeyang promised. "We're all going together." The Morning Star launched from the repair station just as the first weapons fire lit up space. Captain Day's ship was fighting bravely, but it was badly outmatched. Taeyang watched as the small security vessel took hit after hit. "We have to help him," Taeyang said. "Our weapons are barely functional," Nira pointed out. "I know," Taeyang said, "but we can't just leave him." He turned the Morning Star around and flew back into the fight. It was suicide, and he knew it. But Captain Day had risked everything to help them. Taeyang could not abandon him. The 3 Velen warships turned their attention to the Morning Star. One of them broadcast a message. The voice was cold and commanding. "Human vessel. This is Admiral Kova of the Velen fleet. You are harboring stolen property. Surrender the child immediately, and you will be allowed to live." "Stolen property?" Taeyang shouted back. "She's a child, not a thing. And everyone knows what you did. The whole galaxy saw my message." "Your message means nothing," Kova said. "By the time anyone arrives, you will be dead, and the child will be with me. I will claim I rescued her from you. Who do you think they will believe? A decorated admiral or a human cargo hauler?" Kova's ships opened fire. Taeyang flew like his life depended on it, because it did. He dodged and weaved, using every trick he had learned in the Navy and in his years as an independent pilot. He flew toward the nearby planet, using its gravity to help him maneuver. He hid behind chunks of space debris. He used the repair station itself as a shield. But the Velen ships were too powerful. They had better weapons, better shields, better everything. The Morningstar took hit after hit. Systems began to fail. Fire broke out in the engine room. Captain Day's ship made one last brave attack, ramming one of the warships and causing significant damage. But the impact destroyed his own ship. Taeyang watched as an escape pod launched from the wreckage. Captain Day had survived, at least. Now it was just the Morningstar against two warships. Nira fought from the weapons station, her face set with determination. She managed to damage one of the ships. But it was not enough. "Shields at 10%, she reported. "We can't take another hit." Taeyang looked at the control panel. They were finished. The ship was falling apart around them. In the back, Leah huddled in her emergency pod, crying and scared. He had failed. After everything, he had failed to keep her safe. Then his sensors lit up with a massive energy signature. A huge ship dropped out of faster-than-light speed directly between the Morningstar and the warships. It was a Velen dreadnought, the largest ship Taeyang had ever seen, and it was broadcasting Matriarch Vera's personal codes. She had arrived. The dreadnought's weapons locked onto Admiral Kova's ships. Matriarch Vera's voice came across all channels, cold and commanding. "Admiral Kova, you are hereby stripped of your rank and placed under arrest for treason and attempted murder. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Kova tried to run. His ships turned and fired up their engines. But more Velen ships were arriving now, dropping out of faster-than-light speed and surrounding the traders. Within minutes, it was over. Kova's ships were disabled and boarded. The admiral was captured, but Taeyang barely noticed. His ship was dying. Fires were spreading. Life support was failing. He had only seconds to act. He activated Leah's emergency pod and launched it toward the dreadnought. He watched on his screen as the pod flew safely across the distance and was caught by the larger ship's tractor beam. Leah was safe. That was all that mattered. Then an explosion ripped through the Morningstar. The ship broke apart. Taeyang felt himself thrown from his seat. He hit his head on something hard. His vision went dark. The last thing he heard was Nira's voice, calling his name. Then nothing. When Taeyang woke up, everything was white and quiet. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Then he felt pain. Dead people did not feel pain. He opened his eyes slowly. He was in a medical room, but not one he recognized. Everything around him was Velen technology. Elegant and advanced. Nira sat beside his bed, smiling. "Welcome back." "Leah?" he asked, his voice rough. "She's safe," Nira said. "She's with her mother. They've been together for 2 days." 2 days. Taeyang tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. His whole body hurt. "You were badly injured," Nira explained. "But Velen medical technology is very good. You're going to be fine." Taeyang lay back down, relief washing over him. He had done it. Against all odds, he had kept his promise. Leah was home. Taeyang spent 3 more days recovering in the medical bay of the Velen dreadnought. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive. The explosion that destroyed his ship should have killed him. Only Nira's quick actions, pulling him into an escape pod in the last seconds, had saved his life. On the 4th day, a guard came to his room. "Matriarch Vera requests your presence," the guard said formally. Taeyang's stomach tightened with nervousness. He had never met anyone so important before. He was just a cargo hauler. What was he supposed to say to the leader of one of the most powerful species in the galaxy? Nira helped him get dressed in clean clothes that the Velens had provided. "Just be yourself," she advised. That's who saved her daughter. The guard led him through the enormous ship. Everywhere Taeyang looked, he saw Velen crew members working with perfect efficiency. The technology around him was far beyond anything humans had created. It made him feel small and out of place. They arrived at a large door. The guard opened it and gestured for Taeyang to enter. The room beyond was beautiful. Large windows showed the stars outside. Elegant furniture filled the space. But Taeyang barely noticed any of it. In the center of the room stood matriarch Vera. She was tall and regal, wearing flowing robes of deep purple. Her skin had the same gentle glow as Leah's. Her eyes were intelligent and powerful. But right now, those eyes were soft with emotion. Beside her stood Leah. The moment Leah saw Taeyang, she ran to him. She threw her arms around him and spoke rapidly in Velan, her words tumbling over each other. Taeyang knelt down and hugged her back. "Hey, little one, I'm so glad you're okay." Matriarch Vera watched them for a moment. Then she spoke in perfect human language. "Leah has been asking for you since the moment she was safe. She wanted to make sure you survived." "I'm harder to kill than I look," Taeyang said, standing up carefully. Vera smiled slightly. Then her expression became serious. She stepped forward and, to Taeyang's complete surprise, she bowed to him. "You saved my daughter's life," she said. "You had no obligation to do so. No treaty bound you. No law required it. Yet you risked everything. Your ship, your life, your freedom. You did this because you saw a child who needed help." Quote, "Anyone would have done the same," Taeyang said, uncomfortable with the praise. "No," Vera said firmly. "Most would not have. Most would have reported the distress signal and waited for official rescue. By the time that rescue arrived, my daughter would have been dead." She straightened up and looked directly into his eyes. "You acted when others would have hesitated. You chose compassion over protocol. That is a rare quality." She gestured to the chairs. "Please, sit. There is much to discuss." They sat together, with Leah climbing into the chair next to Taeyang and holding his hand. Vera explained what had happened while Taeyang was unconscious. Admiral Kova had confessed to ordering the attack on the diplomatic shuttle. He had opposed Vera's peace policies and wanted to start a war with humanity. He thought that killing Leah and blaming it on human pirates would achieve that goal. "He almost succeeded," Vera said quietly. If not for you, if not for your bravery, my daughter would be dead, and our species might be at war." "What will happen to him?" Taeyang asked. "He and his co-conspirators will face trial," Vera said. "They will be punished according to our laws." There was silence for a moment. Then Vera spoke again. "I owe you a debt that can never truly be repaid. But I want to try. I want to offer you rewards for what you have done." She pulled up a holographic display showing various options. A new ship, better than anything Taeyang could ever afford. Enough money to never work again. A position as an official liaison between humans and Velans. Honors and titles. A mansion on any planet he chose. Taeyang looked at all the options and felt overwhelmed. They were all too much. Too grand. Too far from the simple life he knew. "That's very generous," he said carefully. "But I don't need all that." Vera raised an eyebrow. "No? Then what do you want?" Taeyang thought about it. "I need a new ship to replace the Morning Star. Something reliable that I can use for cargo hauling. And my friend Hyun, the one who helped repair my ship, he could use some business. Maybe a contract to maintain some of your fleet's smaller vessels? That's all?" Vera asked, surprised. "That's all I need," Taeyang confirmed. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a cargo hauler who did what was right. I don't want to be famous or important. I just want to get back to my normal life." Leah pulled on his sleeve and spoke in Velan. Vera translated. "She says you are important. You are her hero." Taeyang smiled at Leah. "You're pretty brave yourself, kid. You stayed strong through all of that." Vera studied him for a long moment. "You are an unusual human, Taeyang. Most people, when offered wealth and power, take everything they can get. But you ask for only what you need." She nodded slowly. "Very well. You will have your ship, and your friend will have his contracts. But I must insist on one thing." "What's that?" Taeyang asked. "You will accept the title of Protector of the Crown," Vera said. "It is an honorary position that grants you protection and respect throughout Velan space. You will also be given this." She handed him a small crystal, similar to the one Leah had carried but smaller. "It is a symbol of friendship between our families. If you ever need help, if you are ever in danger, activate this crystal, and the Velen fleet will come to your aid. Taeyang held the crystal carefully. It felt warm in his hand. Thank you. Before he left, Leah gave him a gift of her own. It was a small pendant made of woven metal threads and tiny crystals. She had made it herself during the days he was recovering. Through Vera, she told him what it meant. Among my people, when someone saves your life, they become part of your family. You are my family now. Taeyang, I will never forget what you did for me. Taeyang felt tears in his eyes. He hugged Leah one more time. Take care of yourself, little one. Listen to your mother. Study hard. And maybe, someday, you can visit me and tell me all about what you've learned. I will, Leah promised in her careful human words. I will visit. You teach me fly ship, like you. Taeyang laughed. Deal. 3 weeks later, Taeyang stood on the docking bay of a small space station, looking at his new ship. It was not the biggest or fanciest ship that Vera had offered, but it was solid, reliable, and perfect for cargo hauling. He had named it Leah's Hope. Hyun stood beside him, grinning widely. I can't believe you turned down a mansion and a fortune to ask for a cargo ship. I like cargo ships, Taeyang said simply, and I like my life. I don't need to change it. Well, your life is about to get a lot busier, Hyun said. Thanks to those Velen contracts you got me, I'm expanding my station. I'll need help managing all the work. I'm happy for you, Taeyang said sincerely. Nira appeared from inside the ship. She had decided to join Taeyang as his co-pilot and security officer. Everything's ready. Where to first? Anywhere, Taeyang said. Just a normal cargo run. No princesses, no conspiracies, no one trying to kill us. Sounds boring, Nira teased. Sounds perfect, Taeyang replied. As they prepared to launch, Taeyang's communicator beeped. It was a message from Leah. She sent him a video of herself in a classroom, studying with other young Velens. She waved at the camera and showed him her work. At the end of the video, she held up the crystal that connected to her mother and smiled. Taeyang smiled back, even though she could not see him. The story of the human who saved the Velen princess had spread across the galaxy. News networks called him a hero. Diplomats studied his actions as an example of cross-species cooperation. Some people even wanted to make entertainment shows about him. But Taeyang ignored all of it. He was just a cargo hauler doing his job. Except now, whenever he delivered cargo to Velen space, people recognized him. They treated him with respect. They thanked him for what he had done. Children pointed at him and whispered excitedly. It was strange and uncomfortable. But it was also kind of nice. More importantly, human and Velen relations improved dramatically after the incident. What Admiral Kova had tried to use to start a war had instead brought two species closer together. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchange programs were created. People started to see that despite their differences, humans and Velens had more in common than they thought. And it all started because one human chose to help when help was needed. Captain Day, who had survived the battle, was promoted and given a new ship. He sent Taeyang a message thanking him for showing him what real courage looked like. The pirates who had attacked them in the nebula became a warning story. Other criminals learned that attacking anyone connected to Taeyang would bring the Velen fleet down on their heads. Years passed. Taeyang continued to haul cargo across the galaxy. He had adventures and misadventures. He made new friends and occasionally met old enemies. But he never forgot the small Velen child he had saved. Leah grew up strong and smart. She studied hard, learning about different species and cultures. She became fascinated with humans, especially with their tendency to act on emotion and instinct rather than pure logic. She visited Taeyang whenever she could, though her duties as a princess kept her busy. Each time, she was a little taller, a little wiser. But she still called him Taeyang in her musical voice. On one visit, when she was older, she told him something important. I have decided what I want to do with my life. I want to be a diplomat, like my mother. I want to help different species understand each other. I want to build bridges, the way you built a bridge between us. Taeyang felt pride swell in his chest. You'll be amazing at it. I learned from the best, Leah said, smiling. You taught me that sometimes the right thing to do is to help someone, even when it's dangerous. Even when it makes no logical sense, you taught me that compassion is stronger than fear. Taeyang did not know what to say to that. He was just a simple cargo hauler. He had just done what felt right. But looking at Leah now, seeing the person she had become, he realized that his choice had mattered. It had not just saved one life. It had changed the future. Sometimes, one person choosing to do the right thing could change everything. And Taeyang, the cargo hauler who had risked everything to save an alien child, had proven that humanity's greatest strength was not technology or weapons. It was the simple choice to care about others, even when the whole galaxy said it was not their problem. That was what made humans special. That was why they belonged among the stars.